My name is Callum Duggan, and I work for Cooke Aquaculture in Argyll in Scotland as a freshwater technician, and I have done for the last sort of 5 years. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we as a company, and start touching on what we as an industry are doing going forward to tackle climate change, and what we're doing in local communities, and investing in the people as well, because obviously without the people, none of this is possible. I also have a colleague, Andrew, participating as well, who will assist with any questions at the end as well. So I'm going to start off with a short video, just to give you a little insight into sort of who we are as a company and what we do. So just a couple of minutes, and then I'll pick up again after that.
Cooke Aquaculture Scotland is one of the top producers of Scottish salmon, the country's biggest food export, and a sector worth £1.5 billion every year. We have great people, and we're adding more great people all the time. We get to work in some of the most beautiful parts of Scotland, including Lantra, Shetland, and the west coast of Scotland. In our island and coastal communities, you are never far from the sea. It plays such an important part of our life. We offer a huge range of water in freshwater, seafood, processing, as well as a range of business and support roles, with average salaries in the agriculture sector above the Scottish national average. When you join Cooke, you are not just joining a company, you are joining a family, and we're committed to investing in our people. More than 10% of our staff are completing apprenticeships in agriculture, engineering, and business administration, enabling them to work, learn, and earn. And we support many employees to get more recognized professional work. We are recruiting all the time to grow the market for our delicious, fresh Scottish salmon.
Okay, so mentioned in that video there, we are mainly based in the west coast of Scotland, Orkney and Shetland, and being in an industry which is more and more being relied upon to supply marine protein and to help feed an ever-growing population globally. We have to take it upon ourselves as well to do this sustainably, and to make sure that this growth is environmentally friendly and mitigated as much as possible. So on the slide, you can see some of the facts and figures about actual production. So we are well placed to be able to meet that demand in an environmentally sensitive way. We are producing less carbon than other industries, while still feeding a growing population. And this production that we of the salmon that we do, so this is mainly organic. We produce over 8% of Scotland's organic production, and as well as RSPCA and Label Rouge accredited salmon. And all these accreditations have strict parameters that we have to achieve, and that involves environmental quality and limiting impact to the environment. So this plays an important part in what we want to do, because working in these rural communities with people, we don't want to have any negative impacts on these places. So it's a really important part for us to make sure that this growth and what we do is sustainable. So the UN has recognised aquaculture as one of the pathways leading forward to be able to limit climate change as well. We know that we need an ever increasing amount of food at the moment, and aquaculture is now responsible for providing more fish than wild-caught fisheries. So there's obviously a massive focus on making sure that we can do this sustainably and to the best of our ability. So the figures behind the 73 million meals, that's just from Cooke Aquaculture Scotland alone. So anything that we can do obviously has quite a large impact on just from the size of the organisation. So we're looking at all different ways that we can mitigate change, and we can do things responsibly. So one of the things that we're doing is we've acquired our own feed plant, and we've since made sure that all the protein, all the fish meal that we're getting is from MSC and Marine Trust assured stocks. So that ensures that there's no overfishing, and that local communities aren't affected by us getting the fish meal from the environment. There's also progress being made, and interesting developments in alternative sources, so algal proteins and insect proteins as well. So moving away from fish meal altogether, and that's something that's been explored and is on the forefront of the future for aquaculture. So we can't do what we do without people, and where we work, being rural, a lot of our sites being focused in Orkney and Shetland. It's very tight knit, small communities. It's also a small base of people to draw from for jobs and opportunities, and for young people on these islands. If there's no jobs, there's obviously a lot less incentive to stay. If you can't get a job, you're more tempted to move away, move to the mainland, which then leads to depopulation of these islands. So on the slide is a colleague called Craig Drury from Shetland. He's joined us from school, and mentioned before in a couple of presentations about apprenticeships. So that's something that we're really keen on, and something that I've undertaken myself. I've completed 2 modern apprenticeships through SDS and through Cooke, and Craig has completed his level 5 in aquaculture and is starting his level 7 in aquaculture management. And these apprenticeships have a focus on sustainability, and there's definitely value in our staff knowing how to do their job efficiently, and how to do that in the most environmentally sensitive way as well, limiting any waste, limiting use of power, and just doing everything that we can to do our job to the best of our ability, and be that the environmental side and looking after our stock, the salmon that we do. So this is another colleague, Stuart Lavender. He's a seawater assistant from Shetland, and he was working at Skatska Airport. Oh. Apologies. Can you still hear me? Good, perfect. Sorry. He was working as a firefighter at Skatska Airport, but as we move away from fossil fuels, the Sullomvo oil terminal up there is in a sort of drawdown phase. It's shrinking down as we move away, and there's less demand for it. So unfortunately, he lost his job. But then, obviously, luckily for us as well, we gained him as a colleague, as we're quite well placed to be able to fill these jobs and to provide opportunities for people in these rural areas, especially with moving away from oil and gas. And in Shetland, aquaculture is the biggest employer, and it makes up one of the largest portions of the local economy. It's actually 20% larger than oil and gas and tourism. So if we can get people in who are like-minded, getting them to work efficiently, stay on the islands, which stops depopulation, allows us communities to still exist, to thrive. Of course, everyone needs a job for money to live on these islands, which then goes to local shops, the local pub, of course, and is making sure that these island populations can survive as well. So during the pandemic as well, we have not had any sort of furlough. Of course, our work didn't stop. Salmon need cared for all the time, and we don't just have roles, just as in husbandry roles. We've got roles in environmental, in fish health, and it goes beyond just looking after the salmon. And one of these roles that is ever expanding is the sustainability side of it. So we have our own dedicated sustainability team who are looking at ways in which we can further reduce our carbon output and environmental impact. So I'm going to go on to talk a little bit more about that. So sustainability, as mentioned, is more and more important, especially for us as a company. We've just recently appointed a global chief sustainability officer as well, with over 30 years experience in that, who is looking at larger projects, especially globally as well, which can really have large impacts at reducing our impact. Going forward, we are looking at more projects like the one that you see on the slide. So this is a remote feed tower in Untitled Shetland, and it's solar powered, and it is used to remote feed the salmon sites that you see in the background there. So what this actually means is that we don't need staff members to go out on a boat between each site burning diesel, and this can be done all remotely from a central hub. So basically sat behind a computer, it would allow all these sites to be monitored, to be controlled, to be fed without actually having to visit there in person, and the associated diesel, having more boats, and the impact that has. And as a company, we're working towards 100% reusable, recyclable, and biodegradable packaging. So in the video, you saw that most of the industry at the moment is using polystyrene boxing and stuff for moving of produce. We're looking at ways that we can use more environmentally friendly methods to do the same job, and that's something that we're well underway to getting implemented. And a large part of the drivers is coming from internally, but there's also external drivers such as the supermarkets that we sell to. So similar to the previous presentation, we're looking at becoming carbon net zero by 2045. But some of the supermarkets that we sell to are looking at getting their supply chains to be net carbon zero as early as the end of the decade. So that's a really good incentive for us to speed up what we're doing to increase and to expand on our plans and become net zero even sooner than that. And that's something that there's a large focus on within the company as well to achieving. Something that we're doing to help with this is we've calculated that a lot of our emissions come from the use of marine diesel and marine fuel, such as going to these sites. So more of these projects in reducing that usage are really important. Another thing, and trying to feed into more of a circular economy of that as well, is using mortalities from the farms can actually be converted into biodiesel. So that's something that's really exciting and has a lot of benefits, both environmentally and cost savings and stuff for us. So it's checking all the boxes, and it's something that's been worked on for a couple of years now and is well underway to get implemented, and hopefully will be very soon. And that would reduce the amount of diesel that we actually need to use, and it would mean less waste as well. So it's ticking more than one box and really helping both the environment and reduce our outputs. So with this new technology that's such as the remote feeding, we are looking at moving sites further offshore as well. So this is new technology, has its own challenges with more flow. The conditions can be a bit rougher out there as well, but it also means that this, because a lot of the current sites closer inshore have already been occupied, or you don't get licenses for them. This means that we can provide more jobs, but still have less impact by being able to service them remotely. So it's helping to expand our company, provide more jobs, and still mitigate impact as well, which is something that we're very keen on working on. So another thing that is coming up and is going to be implemented in the next couple of weeks is we are going to deploy Scotland's first fully hybrid feed barge. So a feed barge is basically what's used to control the site. It stores all the feed in there. It has computers and monitoring systems, all the computers, etc. So this is using tried and tested technology coming from Norway, and the figures coming from that is looking like it's going to reduce the diesel generator runtime by as much as 90%, and also reduce diesel consumption on this barge by over 60%. So a significant saving, and this boils down to an equivalent of around 55 cars taken off a road for the year. So just in this one barge, it's going to be a significant saving in carbon output, and obviously a significant investment for the company as well. But moving forward, it's something that would be excited to keep doing, and as new sites and old barges are replaced, using more of this technology to further reduce the amount of carbon that we are releasing and reduce the amount of diesel as well that we're using. Okay, so another part of what we're doing is, like I say, we can't do this without the people. The people are really what makes the company go round, and if we can have better trained people, knowing how to run sites better and more efficiently with less impact, that's a benefit for us. That's what we want as well. So we need to support these communities, and something that we're really passionate about. So in most normal years, we'd contribute over £150,000 to local communities. It's mainly in Orkney and Shetland where most of our sort of seawater sites are located. And to do this, we've set up a community benefit fund where local organisations and events can sort of bid into and then get funding from. So it's mainly sort of reactive. So they'll come to us with what they want, how much, what the reasons are for, and as long as it benefits the local people and is in line with what we want to achieve in terms of helping out local community like the school that you see behind, and environmental, then we'll look at being able to fund that. So a couple of examples of this. Behind, on the slide there, you can see Papdale Primary School with the head teacher, Wendy Bowen, and they approached us to help fund buying books. So when COVID hit and a lot of people were having to learn from home and stuff, their learning had been disrupted, and they were needing new books. So we were able to step in and provide about £6,000 to buy books for all the P1, 2 and 3 students to help them learn from home. And keeping good ties and supporting local communities is really important for us. Like I say, in small islands up in Orkney and Shetland, it's important for us because a lot of the families obviously make up our staff as well. So whatever we can do to give back both to the community and environmental projects, then we're really passionate and excited about being able to do that. Another example is a bit of reuse of the actual salmon cages themselves. So it's mainly like a large plastic ring which helps float the cages, and there's a local company up there which produce polycribs, which is like a polytunnel, and we've donated 4 kilometers of this piping to them, and from that they then make these shelters which can be used for outdoor space. So it's a couple of applications are like outdoor play areas for the schools, and they can be used for agricultural purposes as well, for growing crops under. And so we've donated that, and then once they're finished, we buy them back for about £10,000 a time, and then these are donated to mainly schools and local community projects to provide this outdoor space, because it's not the best of weather all the time. So that's something else that we can do, and obviously it's reuse of an existing resource that we already have, which is obsolete farming equipment. So it's another area where we can reduce our impact and help the community at the same time. Another thing that we've invested in as well is a local sailing club in Sutherland. So their membership had increased through COVID, and more people wanting to get out and about after. So we helped fund a couple of new sailing dinghies and a lot of safety equipment for them. And this is important because it's getting people, especially young people, out into the areas where we work, and it's inspiring these people into seeing the areas where we that are on their doorstep, helping them appreciate it and helping us get these people interested in what's out there, and if they enjoy these areas, then why not enjoy working there as well? If we can provide local careers for them, then it's beneficial for everybody as well. Okay, so in conclusion, I'll just sum up a couple of things that we're doing. So we are looking at providing these local communities with a source of employment, keeping island communities together, and at the end of the day, producing a very low carbon food, which is in ever increasing demand, with a focus on moving towards even more sustainable running of this production. And as it is Scotland's #1 export, we want to be at the forefront of doing this sustainably. And we're really well placed in being able to support the Scottish Government's green recovery and more broadly contribute towards the global rise in aquaculture and the blue economy. And with more projects on the horizon as well, it's a very exciting time, and there's more and more possible from the industry that we're looking to roll out as well. So that concludes my presentation.